Okay, here's a story where a guy supposedly stabs his best friend. Some best friend that was. With friends like that, we don't need enemies, do we? That's correct. Leaving his friend paralyzed, which means he's critically wounded his friend for life. He was put behind bars. He's been there for 10 years. Well, what he deserved to be, right? Okay, he wasn't no friend anyhow, because a friend don't do that to another friend. And he was ordered to pay restitution, in other words, $266,000 in compensation to be paid to the victim. But if he fails to pay that or can't pay that, then he's being sentenced as well to be paralyzed. I know that sounds ludicrous, don't it? It sounds totally nuts, don't it? Being sentenced to be paralyzed himself. I know that sounds insane, don't it? Because he's already spent, 10 years in prison already, okay? So he's done the crime, he's doing time for the crime, right? But then if he can't pay the restitution, he's going to be paralyzed like what he did to his so-called friend that he was never a friend with, because friends don't do that to friends. Okay, but you know what? As crazy as this sounds, in a lot of ways I actually agree with that. I know. A lot of people's going to say, oh, no, I'm nuts. Nah, hear me out, okay? Just hear me out on this, okay? I'll tell you why I agree with it. I know it's an eye for an eye, right? Tooth for tooth, eye for an eye. But you know what? If you was going to stab and kill somebody, and your punishment was you was going to be stabbed and killed, then you would probably really think hard before you would do something like that, wouldn't you? That's right. If you was going to make up outrageous lies just because you can, to do harm onto somebody, to get them fired from their job, like at the Holiday Inn Express, then I would have to say that somebody should make up outrageous lies, make it completely public. That's right. Make it more public than it was for me. And you should be dismissed from your jobs. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what should happen. Because if we did this type of behavior back onto the ones who done this type of behavior to begin with, there would be a whole lot less of this behavior going on from people. If somebody robs you, breaks into your home when you're gone, and rips off your belongings, and you catch the person, well, then you have a right to go into their home and rip off their belongings. Okay? If somebody critically wounds you, like in this guy's situation, and you critically wound them in the exact same manner, I know it's an eye for an eye, but I'll tell you what, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth sometimes is the best medicine. Because a lot of times people just don't give a shit until it happens to them. But if everybody knew right off the bat that if I do this, it's going to happen to me, they would be a lot less able to do it now, wouldn't they? It would force people's hands to start thinking and caring about other people as they want people to do to them. That's what it would do. It would force their hands, and they would have no choice but to do what's right. Because if they don't do what's right, what they do unto somebody else will be done unto them. That's why I agree with that. Because we have so many people just dumping and shitting on other people for no reason at all other than they can, and they're feeling big, and they're just feeling big and powerful inside, ain't they? Yeah. Like Angela over at the Holiday Inn Express. Big old shit-eating grin, smile on her face the morning she knew the owner was showing up, because she said hi to me. And kept it to herself what she had just done, so that I wouldn't know she'd done it. And that's what her smile was about. She had her eagle trip going, She knew that they just made up a pack of lies. And she was feeling big. She was feeling powerful at the point. She was enjoying it. She knew that she was doing harm onto somebody that's never done anything to her, and she actually was enjoying it. That's what that big shit-eating grin on her face was about, because she was enjoying it. See, so in this situation, so then it would be fun for an outrageous lie saying that Angela agrees with killing children and dropping their bodies in a ditch. And as she promotes that behavior, and she thinks that's cool. And that would go mainstream media. That's right. With her picture, so everybody can see her. And then behind that, to be dismissed from her job. Now, even though it was an outrageous lie, it would only be doing unto her what she does unto others. Isn't that correct? So then the next time she even had an inkling of making up a bold-faced lie or doing damage unto somebody, she would be thinking twice before she did it. And it would wipe that shit-eating grin right off her fucking face. Excuse my language. But that's what that would do. Because she was feeding her power trip. So, yeah. I know it sounds crazy, but I agree. I agree with this in a lot of ways, because this definitely would force people's hands to back up and think about something before they do it. I'll leave the link for the story in the more so you can read it yourself. But it sure would. It would make people really think before they do something to somebody else, because they would realize that it's going to happen to them, because that will be their punishment. That's right. That will be their punishment. What they do to somebody else be done to them. So if you knock somebody's eye out deliberately, they get to knock your eye out deliberately. Paralyze them, you get paralyzed. Make up outrageous fucking outright lies and cost them their job, then we get to make an outrageous lie and we get to make it go mainstream media, so the whole world gets to see your face, and then you get terminated. This way it's an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and you fucking people with your ego trips and your fucking power trips will now be knocked off your freaking power trips. And it'll cost you people to have to really think before you act, and I'll tell you what, it probably would slow down a whole lot of bullshit and crime that's going on in this world. And I guarantee it pretty much would. There'd be a whole lot of people that would now suddenly not be doing what they're doing onto somebody else, because they would not want it done onto them. So that's the reason I agree with it.